Good afternoon. Hello. Good afternoon. I am Sarah Hahn, and it is my great pleasure to preside over this convocation and to welcome you to Brooklyn Law School. I'm a vice dean and a professor here, and I am honored to be the first to say welcome and to introduce our wonderful speakers here who are up on the dais, who represent our wonderful Brooklyn Law School community, which includes students, faculty, staff, and alumni. And I'm welcoming you also to the community of Brooklyn, New York, and to the legal profession. I know you must be excited, and we are excited for you. The very first thing I want to do is to introduce you to the larger community to which Brooklyn Law School is a part, the community of Brooklyn, which all of you are now joining. Brooklyn is one of the most diverse and exhilarating places on earth, and we have been here and an integral part of this community for 125 years, long before the hipsters discovered it. We at Brooklyn Law School take seriously our place in the Brooklyn community and our obligation to serve and participate in it. We hope you will join us for our new Student Service Day on Friday, when teams of Brooklyn Law School students will work on service projects throughout the borough. And you will see the community come to us when Brooklyn Law School participates in the Brooklyn Book Festival, which will occur right here in our neighborhood, including on our campus in late September. To welcome you and tell you a bit more about this amazing community, I am pleased to introduce our first speaker, Professor Joy Kanwar. I've got Joy Kanwar is Professor of Legal Writing, and from 2023 to 2024, she also served as the Arthur Pinto and Stephen Bolin Associate Dean of Inclusion and Diversity. Professor Kanwar's scholarship explores questions about inclusion and exclusion in immigration and citizenship law through historical and narrative lenses. She is also a co-author of the latest edition of the standard-bearing textbook, Writing and Analysis in the Law, and has published about techniques to help students like yourselves become lawyers who are prepared to enter the profession in a well-trained, reflective, and whole-person way. Before entering academia, Professor Kanwar practiced at the law firm of Skadden, Arps, Slate, Meagher, and Flom. She earned her JD and a master's in environmental law from Vermont Law School. We're very lucky to have Professor Kanwar on our faculty, and you are too. Professor Kanwar.
Thank you so much, Dean Hahn, and it is an honor to represent the faculty to welcome you today. You all look great, glowing, I would say, and so I prepared for you a 12-minute speech with lots of dramatic pauses, which I'm going to try to do in 5 because it is warm. But I first wanted to say that I don't stand up here alone. I am actually joined by all the colleagues behind me who are world-class scholars and teachers. So if you would imagine us as a whole collective speaking to you today, that would be fantastic. So one day you might know these experts in torts, in gender in the law, in legal analysis, writing research, bankruptcy, juvenile rights, civil rights, comparative, U.S. constitutional law, law and inequality, patents, securities, civil procedure, contracts, etc. But today is not that day. And you may be inspired by what these faculty members will teach you about these subjects, and that'll become your next great love. But today is not the day. We're not going to actually teach you much today. We just want you to know that we're united in welcoming you to the school. And our purpose is that we want to meet you and root for you as you begin your journey. You're going to hear from a lot of people this week, and I want you not to feel like you need to memorize everything you hear. When I went back to think about my own convocation, all I can remember was we sat by a river. And then I called my friends and I was like, what did we do for Convocation? And they said, we sat by a river. So not a lot. I didn't hold on to a lot. But I have a little technique for today, which might help us hold on to at least one of these lessons. So my colleagues are so wonderful that I went around either by text or email, and mostly just by running into people this week. And I asked them this question, 2 questions actually. So what do you wish our law students knew coming into law school? So that would be all of you. Or in the alternative, what's something you wish you knew when you started law school yourself? So this is the collective wisdom, and there are 3 things that I want you to know. But if there's only one thing that you take away from this, it would be the first point. And the first point is that you belong here. You belong here resoundingly and unequivocally, and it seems like a very simple thing to say, like, yeah, we belong here, we're all here, we all made it. And I hope that you really feel that way today, 80 degrees, maybe 85 in here, not sure, but, you know, so much promise and light ahead. And this is true if you come from a long line of lawyers. This is true if you're going to be the first one in your family. This is true if this is your 3rd career or your very first one. This is true if you speak English as your first language or not. It's true for everybody here today. But I'm actually really talking to future you. I'm talking about the days when the snow is falling hard on Joralemon Street, when you have back-to-back exams, when you have to be in Midtown and back to your class in enough time, when you have to take an emergency call from your client, or when you have too much reading to do and you ask yourself if you were meant to be in this profession. For then, I am saying that version of you should hear that you belong. For the times when you might think everyone else has it together but you. Not true, actually, but it's a feeling. You belong. And for the times that you have to support someone in your family rather than finishing that super long reading, you belong. At the times it seems like you're ambling to find your path and it seems like everybody already has, you belong. And primarily for the times when you question everything about whether you can make a difference in this world, you absolutely belong. So we need you, and we're so glad you're here. That's point number 1. But because I'm a professor, I'm going to find a way to make this stick. So you're not like, we sat by a river. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go on to the second point, and then I'm going to come back again. So the second point that we all want you to know is that you should build a team. Just like I'm not alone up here, neither are you. The best way for you to take this journey is with support. You're going to meet classmates, obviously, many of whom are going to be your lifelong friends, and you're going to meet professors and amazing staff and administrators. All of us are part of your journey. As one of my colleagues wrote me, Professor Joshi, law school, like law itself, is a collective enterprise. Few people do it well alone, and even fewer do this happily alone. School will pass by faster than expected. Get to know your classmates and professors, learn from each other, and build in time to socialize, relax, and have fun. Professor Janger wanted you to relax with Hill Street Blues, and I thought, no one is going to understand what that means. So what is a show, Love Island? Is that all done? There is something that you can watch to sort of feel like you're still part of the world, and that's important as well. So when you're building your team, you have to sort of draw up the right combination of people. So you're going to be building with the people you're meeting now, but what about the people you already have in your lives? So I'd like you to take a moment. This has to be a very well-curated team. It can't just be random. It has to be somebody who knows you, maybe doesn't know much about the law, but knows about you, who's always in your corner, who you can call and talk to. So visualize this person. It has to be a person you know right now, and it would be helpful if you kind of knew a phone number or a text number, like somebody you can actually reach out to, unless somebody is already here with you helping you move in, also helpful, but like an accessible person. So while you're thinking about that, I'd like to tell you, I'm going to spend time telling a little story so that you can sort of fix yourself on the person that we're going to be contacting as a collective. So I have been on sabbatical this year, and one of my friends was using my office to help with the bar exam. And she said, it's really nice to come into your office and see that little picture of your daughter every day. It's very motivating. It just makes me feel good. And I thought really, really hard about this, and I was like, I have no idea what picture she's talking about, really. And what tipped me off that this must not be the exact situation is that I am the mom of twins who keep very good track on being represented. So either it is 0 or it is 2, but it's never 1 of anything. And so I went into the office and I saw what she was talking about. It was a picture, and it does look exactly like my daughter, but it was actually a picture of 10-year-old me. And in this picture, I'm just going to have to do it for you because it's very hard to describe this. So I was in a pose something like, holding up my cheeks, very 10, very big smile, and very much like, bring it world. And so I kind of started carrying this picture around because it was such an earnest human being who super duper believed in me. And I thought, you know what? I need my 10-year-old self to be on my team of people, of supporters, because not my 14-year-old self, not my 18-year-old self, not even the self that was going into law school. My 10-year-old self had a lot of belief in me and was super excited to hear that I became a lawyer, became a law professor, and that I moved to the best city in the world. And so that was great. So now I sort of have put her on my team. And I could imagine to myself that her saying would be, doubt the doubters, right? Don't doubt yourself, doubt the doubters. So now that I've told you about this little picture, I really do mean this, have you fixed somebody in your mind? Okay, great. So what you're going to do is, I assume nobody has people might have their phones, don't use it now. But after we leave this room, and after we leave maybe this entire space, because you should try to socialize with each other, but when you leave this building, take your phone out for a second and text that person, your chosen person, or call that person and just say, I know this is random, but you're going to have to remind me at some time when I call you about the courthouse and about Convocation and how I belong. Because there's going to be a moment in which you really question yourself. And I want it not to be coming from me, but somebody in the future. So that is the task for the day. So very quickly, the last thing that we all want you to know is something that I think is sort of a hard thing to kind of keep in mind or suss through right now. But basically, we want you to know that you're building yourselves for the long game, and your human qualities are the qualities that are going to make you great lawyers. So there is a lot of technology that's coming out. There are a lot of things that are changing in the law, but what doesn't change is the ability to connect with your clients, to empathize, and to be somebody with good judgment and character. And so those qualities are the ones that we want you to know are going to hold you in the greatest stead. One of my colleagues wanted you to know that however hard law school is and whatever those things are, it's actually a long game. You are practicing, you're learning. I have several of my legal writing colleagues behind me, and I feel like that work is so important in terms of just knowing how to do what we do, how to think. And what you're going to end up doing is take these skills, because we have a role too, right? I hope everyone here doesn't already know all of the law, because that's where we step in. But once you combine these things, that is when you get to really enjoy this profession. And it's a lifetime of learning. It's not just what you learn in the 3 years or the 4 years. You're going to learn forever in this field. So long game. So finally, I just wanted to say that so this is the last point. We are just so happy to see you here. And from your team, your past, your present, your future team, from everybody behind me, from everybody on the dais, from Little Joy, whose picture I did bring today, we are so happy you're here. Thank you for coming. And from here, we're going to hear back from Dean Hahn, who's going to introduce one of our most wonderful alum students. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Kanwar. Our next speaker, representing our 24,000 alumni, is Nutan Sudath Dasa. A member of the Brooklyn Law School class of 2014, Nutan Sudath Dasa has a career spanning corporate law, compliance, and community impact. Today, among other important jobs, she teaches at the University of Miami School of Law. She holds a Master's of Arts in Urban Affairs and Policymaking from Queens College and a Bachelor of Arts from St. John's University. While a student at Brooklyn Law School, Nutan was the recipient of the Cali Award for Excellence in Negotiation and an Edward V. Sperrer Public Interest Fellowship. After graduating from Brooklyn Law School, Nutan began her career at the law office of Edward V. Sapone, handling white-collar and federal criminal matters, before joining the Pretium Group as its second in-house attorney, where she worked on over $2 billion in commercial real estate transactions and built the firm's SEC compliance program from the ground up. She went on to practice real estate and private equity law at Goodwin Procter. In 2023, Nutan co-founded the Dasa Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to empowering under-resourced middle school students through mentorship, career exposure, and leadership development, a mission shaped in part by her earlier work as an educator in residence at KIPP Miami. She has also given back to the legal community as a committee chair with the New York City Bar Association, leading professional development programming for lawyers navigating career transitions. Nutan is joined here today with us by her husband, Zahir Dasa, and their 4-year-old daughter, Rhea. Hi, Rhea. As well as her parents, Danmati and Sunil Sudath, and her brother, Samir Sudath. Welcome to you all. Please give a warm welcome to Nutan Sudath Dasa.
Thank you, Dean Hahn. It's surreal being here. So thank you all for showing up today. I'm really thrilled to be speaking here. When I started law school, I was sure I had bitten off more than I could chew. It took me hours to get through my first legal opinion from start to finish. It was filled with legalese, procedural language that was completely foreign to me. Oh no, I thought, I've planned my life so poorly. Everyone around me seemed so sure of themselves. They belonged. I had much work to do. At my convocation, classmates chattered about their summer ambitions. They talked about OCI. What is OCI? I thought. My dad is a plumber. My mom stayed home to raise us. They grew up in a village in Trinidad. My mom was one of 10 kids and didn't make it through high school. She had to raise the rest of her siblings while her parents worked. We moved to Queens when I was just 2, and I was going to be the first lawyer of the family. Like many of you, my story wasn't an easy one. We lived in basements when we first moved here, and my dad worked 2 jobs at minimum just to keep us afloat. I envied the people around me who had a long line of lawyers or had family and friend networks that knew lawyers. There were no cheat sheets for me, no guaranteed fallback at an uncle's law firm in case things didn't work itself out. I came to Brooklyn Law as a transfer student. Those 2 years here shaped my life, and it shaped my career. I spent summers teaching criminal law through legal outreach and working along some of the most brilliant minds that you will ever meet at the Federal Defender's Office in the Southern District. I had externships at the Brooklyn DA's office in the Domestic Violence Bureau, at the Exoneration Initiative with Glenn Garber, at Winston & Strawn's White Collar Group. I was a Sparrow Fellow. I received the Platinum Pro Bono Award. I TA'd for evidence. What was interesting, though, was I wasn't special. Everyone around me, everyone in my class was hustling, and that hustle is real. Brooklyn Law gave me my first shot at a professional community with unlimited resources. I remember one semester, I decided I'm gonna explore every single area of law that is remotely interesting to me. I had hundreds of coffees with Brooklyn Law alum all throughout the city. I met with the GC of Sony, Compliance Council at Twitter, the GC of Yeezy at the time, and multiple brilliant public defender minds. My most memorable mentors were Joseph Bondi, one of the nation's preeminent cannabis attorneys today, and the late Gerald Shargell. Joe took me into the courtrooms and we studied oration. We studied body language. We studied the art of communication. Jerry brought me into white collar law with him. He gave me the first taste of it ever. I still think about the time and the why these prominent, busy men gave me, who was basically a nobody at that time, so much of their energy. And the answer is so simple. This is the Brooklyn way. My first job out of law school came through Brooklyn Law's network, but don't take my word for it. The class of 2025, 90.7% of them secured long-term, full-time positions within 10 months after graduation. The network is still networking. My strategy is going to be different from yours, and it should be. We're different people. But while I'm here, I'm going to tell you what I did and what worked for me. Every semester, I would make a list of Brooklyn Law alum that I found compelling, and I'd email them. I'd ask them out for coffee, and I'd learn every single thing that they were willing to share. Lucky for us, lawyers love to talk. I'd follow up strategically and see what value I could bring to their lives and their career, not just what I can get from them. For example, when I was co-president of SALSA, I would ask prominent South Asian attorneys, like Professor Kanwar, to join our team to mentor our students, work alongside us. Brick by brick, I finally built the tribe that I wanted. Over the years, those coffees became more than coffees. They became the voices that I still lean on today. I wasn't the first of my kind to walk these halls. When this school was founded in 1901, back when tuition was $80, Brooklyn Law was one of the first schools to admit women. By 1905, it had built its reputation as an urban law school, serving working-class immigrant communities like my own and like many of yours. Florence Lucas sat exactly where you're sitting right now. She was one of the few African-American women in her class back in the late 1930s. She built a solo practice in Queens and became the first African-American woman admitted to the Queens County Women's Bar Association. And then she discovered that the meetings were being held at restaurants that wouldn't let her in. What did she do? She went anyways. She ran for city council 2 decades later, and she was the first African-American ever nominated for office in Queens. She didn't come from power. She came from this room. That's the thing about this school. It has always taken people that weren't supposed to end up in rooms like this and put them there. Today, you join that fabric. Class of 2029. Don't drop the ball that I'm passing to you. After today, you alone are accountable for your time. Use these next few years wisely. Be a little selfish. Put everything else on the back burner as much as you can. Get the most out of this investment that you're making. Spend real time getting to know yourselves, your classmates, and this community. In fact, take a moment right now, look to the person on your left, and look to the person on your right. Feel free to wave, Give them a high five, a hug. I see you. This right here, this is your forever network. These are the people that you will grow with together. You will all challenge the status quo together. You will lean on each other during late nights in the library and early mornings in the hallway. In these next 3 years, these are the people that you're going to study with for the bar exam. You'll end up at pianos at night, and the next morning you will be standing on opposite sides of the courtroom. Invest in your classmates. Form these study groups. Join the clubs. There are 40 student clubs that are incredibly active at Brooklyn Law School. Find one. Join it. Join multiple. Get the free pizza. You cannot do this alone, and you shouldn't do it alone. Go out of your way to be kind to your classmates. As proof of what kindness builds, sitting in this room today are 3 of my Brooklyn Law girlfriends. Trisha Singh was a year ahead of me, and she always prepped me for what was coming next. Christine Marie Latour was in my class, and we spent countless nights outlining together in Geraldo's. Asha was a year younger than me, and I got to do for her what Trisha had done for me. 15 plus years later, and they're still my tribe. That's not an accident. That's what happens when you build on purpose. Get to know the people that teach here. I was lucky enough to have Professor Susan Herman as my counterterrorism professor. She was the president of the ACLU at the time, teaching counterterrorism law to 14 of us. Professor Cynthia Godso taught me that questioning the law is a part of respecting it. That doctrine isn't something you accept, it's something you interrogate. Your professors here are not stuffy people who sit in a white ivory tower. Many of them have spent their careers tearing down those towers just to make room for people like you. I lost one of those professors a few years after I graduated. Gary Schultz taught negotiations, and he taught negotiations the way it should actually work in the world, not the way that it's taught in a textbook. He taught us to treat our opponents like long-lost friends who had the same desires and motivations that we had. I still think about the things he said in that classroom. Today, I teach negotiations myself because of him. I don't know that he knew that would happen, but I wish I could tell him. I spent time with Dean Meyer this past year. We talked. He listened. He told me about his own path and his hopes for this school. He holds open office hours at File with his wife and their dogs. I watched him show up for students on social media, send them encouragement, remember their names and their stories. These are the traits of a leader that I deeply admire. You have someone like that using this place. Please use it. Here's the part I don't say as often. When everything feels overwhelming, like Professor Kanwar explained, it will at times feel overwhelming. Lean on these people because you will need to. For me, it was the worst always right before finals. There was just never enough time. And underneath the time pressure was something else. It was a deep-seated belief that I wasn't enough. How was I supposed to compete with people that was bred for this? I told myself stories to get ahead of the failure that I was sure was coming. Maybe it was my public school education. Maybe it was my average college that hadn't armored me the way that theirs had. I believed those stories more than once, but I showed up anyway and I tried, half convinced I'd lose. It took a few tries before I stopped believing them. Class by class, I overcame my inner critic and the Socratic method. I learned to write, think, and advocate like a lawyer. It took me a few years after law school, but I finally stopped drafting my emails in IRAC form. 12 years out, I see how much the profession has changed since when I was sitting in your seat. I know there's a lot of talk about AI, about job security, and what's left of this profession in 10 years. I'm at peace with that, and you should be as well. There's no replacement for being human. In my first job out of law school, my boss sent me to court the same day I was sworn into the bar, straight from ceremony in the 2nd Department to 100 Center Street Criminal Court. I got there just in time to give my client a reassuring smile as he pled not guilty, and to speak with his family, who were sitting a few rows behind us. Being someone's advocate, their confidant, their risk manager, that's only something a human can do. No model does that. I want to close with a couple pieces of advice that have nothing to do with the law. First, please, please, please take care of yourselves. I worked out religiously. It gave me discipline in my days and structure in my semesters. But more than that, I spent time learning who I was underneath the anxiety. I learned about my own self-doubt, my imposter syndrome. I sat with my fear of failing and of going home and telling my parents that everything they'd sacrificed for had been for nothing. First-generation guilt is real. Get to know yourself now, in these years, while the stakes are still recoverable. That relationship that you build with yourself will carry you. Second, chase what actually pulls you here. Brooklyn Law has 8 in-house clinics and 12 hybrid externships. Do more than one. Get your money's worth. Looking back, it feels like I lived 10 lives at this school. Some weeks helping women file for divorce from abusive partners through the Uncontested Divorce Project. Other weeks drafting motions on penny stock pump and dump schemes. That range is what gives me the instincts that I have today. You don't know what version of this work you're going to love, so try them all. Third, please hold yourself to the highest standard you know. The legal profession only survives if it holds its own ethical line. And right now, we're in an era of pointing fingers. If there's something in this world that keeps you up at night, this degree is your shot at fixing that. When I was in-house, my CEO always told me something that stayed with me throughout my entire career, and I've never forgotten it. If you stay away from the line, you'll never be tempted to cross it. I've carried that through every job I've had, and I hope you carry it too. I'll tell you something else, and then I'll stop. I don't always feel like I belong in every room I walk into. 12 years in, honestly, I still catch myself doing the math on who's supposed to be there and who isn't. I don't think that feeling goes away. What changes is what you do with it. You stop waiting for it to disappear and you walk in anyway. That's the whole secret. That's really it. As I've built my own family, I've started thinking a lot more about legacy, about what I'm passing down and to whom. I'm not sure yet where mine ends, but I know exactly where it started, right here in this room. My daughter Rhea is here today watching her mother stand up, something I never pictured my mother doing. That's legacy. So here's what I'll leave you with today. Go chase whatever will make you proud enough to come back to this room, to tell your own story in it. Soon enough, it's going to be one of you standing here, and somewhere in that crowd will be someone who doesn't yet believe that they belong, watching you and deciding maybe they do. Thank you to my tribe for being here today. My husband's here, my daughter Rhea, my family, my girlfriends. In true Brooklyn Law fashion, I promise I'll be the first one to do this today, but not the last. My number is 347-248-0084. Call me, text me, pep talks, I'm here. Welcome to Brooklyn Law. You can do this. I know because I did.
Thank you, Nutan. And now it is my turn to speak. I'm going to turn the tables a little bit, and I'm going to talk about you. Welcome to law school, entering class of 2026. As you look around, I hope that you realize the students sitting around you are going to quickly become your friends, your classmates, your support group, and eventually your legal network, really for the whole rest of your lives. And the many professors that you see back here, up here, and the administrators, we are also going to become part of that lifelong network of people who support you as you grow in your career. So we are going to be your mentors, your recommenders, and your strongest cheerleaders. Without question, your classmates are your greatest assets here at Brooklyn Law School. So take time this week and in the weeks that follow to forge new connections. I would also ask that you press pause on our rush toward artificial intelligence to really challenge yourselves intellectually. Immerse yourselves in the educational, legal, and cultural opportunities that will present themselves to you during your tenure here. You are among an accomplished, diverse, and inspiring group of students. You will enhance our profession and legal community with your dedication, passion, and initiative. Over 5,800 applicants from around the world were evaluated to arrive at the group that we have here today. 424 students comprise the 2026 entering JD class, including 384 in the 3-year program and 40 in our 4-year program. This includes 24 international students from 8 different countries. 41 of you took the plunge early and began your studies in June with our summer entry program. We are also proud to welcome 8 transfer students to the 2L class and 9 new LLM students who are foreign lawyers from countries like Brazil, Italy, and Kosovo, who will study alongside our JD students. In the first year JD class alone, your birthplaces span 5 continents and 22 countries, including China, Greece, Indonesia, Sudan, Turkey, and Zimbabwe. More than a third of you identify as first-generation American and have at least one parent born outside the United States. More than 200 of you speak a second language, including over 54 languages and dialects other than English, ranging from Albanian, Farsi, Shona, Tagalog, Tibetan, Tigrinya, and Zulu. You hail from 36 U.S. states, including the far-off West Coast states of Oregon, Washington, and California. Your ages range from 19 to 59. 11 of you celebrate birthdays this week, including 3 of you today. Happy birthday. Of course, we are always pleased to see students follow in the footsteps of family members who are graduates of Brooklyn Law School. Tonight, we welcome 25 such students, including one of you whose mother, brother, and sister all attended Brooklyn Law School, and 4 of you who are following a grandparent. All of you are here, all of you, because our admissions team has read your applications, and through reading them and getting to know you, they know that you are prepared to excel academically, both in the classroom and in your experiential training through clinics, simulation courses, and externships. You graduated from 188 colleges and universities, having pursued 91 different academic majors. 45 of you have postgraduate degrees, pursuing higher education in fields like business administration, creative writing, cinema studies, public health, and education. You are also a talented group of artists, athletes, marathon runners, DJs, creators, and thinkers. One of you has won an Emmy. One of you served on the organizing committee of the Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Games. One of you, I have got a list here if you're going to clap. One of you was a competitive sailor on the U.S. national team. One of you has performed at Carnegie Hall. One of you is a jeweler who has made pieces for Beyonce and Lady Gaga. That deserves the most applause, I agree. That's very impressive. One of you, but there's more. One of you played basketball with Knicks player Josh Hart while they were students together at Villanova University. And your art lovers, as well as producers of art, 36 of you told us that Elle Woods of Legally Blonde is your favorite fictional attorney, and I am here to tell you, I am sorry, that movie is not an accurate representation of anything that is going to happen to you at Brooklyn Law School. Many of you have volunteered your time and efforts on behalf of the public interest. So in your cohort, we have someone who co-founded a nonprofit in Rangpur, Bangladesh. We have ocean lifeguards, traveling nurses, and EMTs. And we have someone who protected Alaskan wildlife by collecting sea star DNA while living in a yurt. We also welcome 7 military veterans, including a record-breaking Marine Corps battalion drill master. That warms my heart because I sort of think of myself as a legal drill master, and I am looking forward to getting notes from that person, whoever you are, once you've been in my class. We also have a West Point-educated Army officer and a Navy communications specialist that most recently represented the iconic flight squadron, the Blue Angels. We are immensely proud to have all of you join us at Brooklyn Law School. You have traveled many different paths to arrive at this singular point tonight. And you will have years to figure out who everybody is, who's got that Emmy, and what makes them tick as you become classmates, lifelong friends, and members of our tight-knit and highly successful Brooklyn Law School community. Welcome. We look forward to getting to know you over the next phase of your life. So our next speaker is David D. Meyer, President, Joseph Crea Dean, and Professor of Law. Dean David Meyer became President and Joseph Crea Dean of Brooklyn Law School on July 1st, 2023, after serving as Dean of Tulane Law School from 2010 to 2023, a tenure that places him among the longest-serving deans at a U.S. law school. Dean Meyer is a leading scholar of constitutional law and family law, who has written extensively on topics at the intersection of these two fields. After earning both his BA and his JD from the University of Michigan, Dean Meyer clerked for Judge Harry Edwards of the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, and then for Justice Byron White of the United States Supreme Court. We are lucky to have his leadership, and you will definitely feel his presence at the law school, especially those of you who will take torts from him in the fall. Welcome, Dean Meyer.
Thank you very much, Sarah, and welcome. I am really thrilled to be able to join with all of my colleagues here in welcoming you to Brooklyn Law School. This is obviously a very big day. I remember vividly my own first day of law school orientation. It was not by a river, though like Professor Kanwar, I have to confess that I don't remember anything at all about what the dean had to say that day. She evidently doesn't remember that there was a dean there even that day. But I do remember really very vividly how I felt that day. And what I felt was a jumble of nerves and excitement about what was to come. What I didn't know then was that the next 3 years would transform me, just as your years at Brooklyn Law School will transform you. I truly envy you for what lies ahead. Sure, there will be plenty of reading and some hard work and a little bit of stress that goes with the territory. But way more than any of that, what lies ahead for you is the thrill of discovery. Your first year of law school will reveal to you a hidden world of policy and law lurking just beneath the surface of the familiar world of everyday interactions you now probably take for granted. You'll suddenly realize that buying a cup of coffee at Starbucks has all of the elements of a contract: offer, acceptance, consideration, and performance. You'll see how the choices we all make routinely, intuitively, every day, in the way we drive to the grocery store or brush past somebody while boarding a crowded train, might be judged under the law of negligence or battery and torts if someone were to get hurt, or the property rights implicated by scooping up a crumpled $10 bill from the sidewalk. Beneath almost every social interaction or transaction, however mundane or profound, from a favor among friends to the authority of parents over their children, there is a legal principle reflecting some policy judgment about the allocation of power and entitlement. And the discovery of that background policy and that web of unseen social regulation changes the way you see the world. Beyond discovering the ways in which law and policy shape the world we inhabit and the air we breathe, you'll also see that there is nothing fixed or foreordained about the policies we have inherited from prior generations. And you will gain the tools, critical thinking in our classrooms, lawyering and leadership skills in our clinics and beyond, to change them for the better. And that is not only illuminating, it is exhilarating. I also congratulate you on the wisdom you've shown in choosing to make your journey at Brooklyn Law School. Because as you've now heard from several of my colleagues, you will here not make that journey alone, but as part of a vibrant community that is deeply and fully committed to your success. You'll be taught by faculty who are at the forefront of their fields as scholars. Very proud that my colleagues on the faculty are ranked 29th in the country for their scholarly impact. And yet those same faculty are equally passionate as teachers and mentors and available to you inside and outside the classroom. You will learn alongside classmates who are not your rivals or competitors, but your collaborators, colleagues, and some will be your lifetime friends. And you are studying at an institution, as you've heard, with a proud history and a distinctive mission of mobilizing social change. Founded 125 years ago next month, so we are celebrating our 125th anniversary this coming year, and thrilled that you are of that class that marks that transition. We were founded at a time not only when tuition was $80, in fact I don't like to remind you of, but also founded at a time when most law schools were highly exclusionary and focused on maintaining law's service to the established order. At that time, Brooklyn Law School defied critics by opening its doors to women, to people of color, people of every religious faith, and immigrants from every corner of the globe. By embracing talent and ambition that others turned away, Brooklyn Law School has been a beacon of excellence and an engine of social mobility for generations of our graduates. And also for the clients and the communities our graduates have gone on to serve in their careers. So I welcome you to the adventure ahead. I congratulate you on your wisdom in choosing Brooklyn Law School, and say again how proud we are to count you as members of the Brooklyn Law School community, as students, and as future alumni. And above all, I am excited to see the difference you will go on to make in your careers. I also look forward to getting to know you in the years ahead, and I want to take this opportunity to impress upon you that I am always available to you during your years in school and beyond, and you are always welcome to reach out if I can help you, and look forward to getting to know you, in torts or otherwise. It's now my great privilege to introduce the Honorable Claire Kelly of the United States Court of International Trade, who will lead you in taking the oath of professionalism, marking your beginning today, at this very moment, as members of the legal profession. A native New Yorker, Judge Kelly has served with distinction on the Court of International Trade since her appointment by President Obama in 2013. The court, which is just across the river in Lower Manhattan, has nationwide jurisdiction over disputes involving customs, tariffs, and international trade. So it is a little busy these days. And Judge Kelly is also, and perhaps uniquely, a living embodiment of Brooklyn Law School, because she is both a former student, having graduated with honors in 1993, but also for 15 years was a member of our faculty, a dedicated teacher and a highly respected scholar of administrative and trade law. She's also a former trustee of the law school, having served on our board of trustees for many years, including as vice chair. And she remains, of course, a distinguished alumna, devoted friend of the school, mentoring and hiring our students as interns and law clerks, and returning regularly to help the school and our students in every way she can. Please join me in welcoming Judge Claire Kelly.
Thank you. So I understand that I am what stands between you and a cooler room, so I will be quick. I'm delighted to be here. I have been at this ceremony many years in different capacities. I am particularly excited, though, to administer the oath of professionalism, because I feel it's an incredibly uplifting part of this ceremony. Now, look, professions, there are many different types of professions. What it means to be a professional means that you adhere to certain standards and that you aspire to a certain degree of expertise. But for lawyers, as you will soon recite, it also means that you embrace certain responsibilities to take on working with diligence, to be civil, to act with civility, and to work in service of the rule of law. Now, immediately, starting tomorrow, you will learn about diligence. Of course, when I sat where you sit, I, as I'm sure you, was determined to diligently prepare for every class, because I wanted to do really well in law school. I'm sure you do as well. I will admit to you, though, that I was primarily thinking about myself. I was thinking about what opportunities I might have if I did really well in law school. But you will learn at Brooklyn Law School, as I did, that whatever you do with your law degree, you will be trusted to speak, to think, and to work for someone who is depending upon you to solve their problems and protect their rights. And as it turns out, their problems are more important than just doing well in law school. Of course, going to class without doing the work is a waste of time. Likewise, for a lawyer, there's no winging it. There's no substitute for doing the work, and the work will be hard. But as a professional, you're making a commitment now to be diligent in that work. I will tell you, though, your diligence will be rewarded, because there is nothing like owning it, knowing the facts and knowing the law and having command of it. It is a fantastic feeling, and I envy you for the first time you get that feeling. It's really great. You're making a commitment now also to practice civility. You will practice it in the classroom. It is not a behavioral choice. It is an operational mandate, because whether you are in class or in court, you will disagree with your learned colleagues sometimes, and sometimes strongly, and you may feel passionate about it. You may be pursuing justice. Good for you. But if you want to be successful for your client or for justice, you will need to be civil. Civil discourse allows for problem solving. When people are afraid of uncivil responses, they tend to stop talking, and that benefits no one. But again, by practicing civility, you will learn that you can be an adversary without the antagonism or the anger, and you will be better at your work because of it. And lastly, and perhaps most rewarding, is that upon entering the legal profession, you will be putting the interest of someone else before your own. You will be working to solve other people's problems. You will be working in service of others. Sometimes you will be working on behalf of a private client, or sometimes you'll be working for the public good. Sometimes you're going to be working to protect and promote the rule of law in service of the larger community. You are now part of something larger than yourself. You are part of the machinery that makes and supports the rule of law, which is the foundation of this great nation. And that matters. And your work in service of the rule of law matters. And yes, it's a responsibility, but I think it's a pretty awesome responsibility. So with that thought, let's please stand and take the oath with me. So we'll read this together. As I embark on my legal studies at Brooklyn Law School, I understand that I'm beginning a professional education in my career as a lawyer. I acknowledge the privileges and responsibilities of becoming a lawyer and accept those responsibilities now as entrusted to me by the bar, the bench, and the public. My career as a lawyer begins today. Accordingly, I pledge at all times to study diligently, commit myself to honest performance on every assignment and examination, and to do my utmost to uphold the highest standards of academic integrity in Brooklyn Law School's Code of Academic Responsibility, to conduct myself with dignity and civility, and to treat other students, staff, faculty, and members of Brooklyn Law School community with kindness and respect, and to interact with colleagues and adversaries alike with honesty, professionalism, and civility, and to embody the best ideals of the profession throughout my career as a student and as a lawyer. I understand that my actions reflect not only upon myself, but also on my Brooklyn Law School and the entire legal profession, and to seek opportunities to provide leadership, to serve my community, to support and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States and the rule of law, and behave in ways that reflect positively on me, Brooklyn Law School, and the entire legal profession. This pledge I take freely and upon my honor. Thank you.
All right, we are going to join together for a reception outside, but first, please stay in your seats so you can appear in some photos that Dean Meyer and some of our other wonderful guests are going to be taking with you to mark this occasion. And I'll give you the all clear when you can proceed into the lobby for the reception.
You will cherish this moment. Thank you very much.
All right, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for attending the convocation. Let's go outside and enjoy some cool air.